Welcome to the Bold Empathy Project podcast. I'm Brian Walden Pope, creator of the Bold Empathy Framework. I have a question to kick off today, and that is, what if you could quickly and accurately understand other people consistently in every facet of your life? What positive difference would that make for you? More importantly, what positive impact would it have on others? How would this help you increase your effectiveness as a leader in business, in your home, and in your community if you could help others quickly and accurately understand themselves? This is a huge key in eradicating conflict and accelerating connection, bringing people and situations into harmony and alignment, and creating unity. That's what we're going to talk about for a few minutes today. There are just 4 key elements to understanding where people have been, where they are at, where they want to go, and what they are willing to do to get there. And these are their values and experiences, the things that have led them to where they're at, their vision, what they see moving forward, and the actions that they are able and willing to take to transform that vision into reality. Now, this is very simple, but it comes after many, many years of search and discovery and research and trial and error. My path to discovering these 4 elements started when I realized that there had to be a common thread out there among the best questions to ask, the best insights to gain, how to get people to open up and share things, not only so we can get what we want, which is a selfish motive that a lot of people take when talking to other people, but more importantly, helping them get what they want. I love what Zig Ziglar said many years ago, basically, and I'm summarizing, the way to get what we want is to help enough other people get what they want. And that's what this is all about. So focusing on other people and what they're looking for and what they want, knowing that that's going to ultimately get us what we want, is where this all started. I started to categorize comments people would make and questions they would ask, and came up with many dozens of categories, way too many for people to remember, nothing that would ever be beneficial to anyone. And then I started to notice where the real elements were that mattered. And that's what it came down to ultimately, was values, experiences, vision, and actions. Now, there's a lot more to say about this, and I'm going to say in this episode today, and I'm going to share with you at the end here how you can get more of a deep dive on that. So a question for you here again: what are your values and experiences that have led you to where you're at in your relationships, your career, civic service, even in your hobbies and interests? And what is your vision for your future in each of these areas and more? And what are you able and willing to do to transform those points of vision into your reality? You have the opportunity to help others discover these same elements of their journeys, removing the conflicts and barriers to greater success and making the connections for them with themselves, with other people, with their ideas, with the resources they need that will accelerate their success. And that's a pretty cool position to find yourself in. Let me tell you just a little account of a situation here that shows exactly how this works. Years ago, I heard this story. It was about a consultant who was brought into a large chain store to teach some things about customer service. And I wish I could remember who that consultant was so I could give proper credit. It was on a tape, on a cassette tape. So I know it was many, many years ago, but a great, great story. He was brought into this large national chain store, as I said, to talk about customer service and to train their people. And he asked if there was a situation currently that they were having trouble keeping a customer satisfied. And they told them about a couple who had bought a wood stove from the store. They had had it installed by someone who was in the network, the service network that store had, and they had complaints about the installation. And this had been going on for some time and had not been resolved. And the people had called, they had written letters, and it had just simply never been resolved. And so this consultant said, well, let's take care of this. Let's talk to these people and take care of this, and I'll show you how this works. So they made a phone call. The couple explained the situation, and this consultant said, well, can we pop out to your house and see what's going on? Would like to come see firsthand. The couple said, yes, that would be great. So they went to the couple's house, and there was the wood stove in their living room. On the outside, the gentleman pointed out that where the exhaust tube went out through the wall and outside, it hadn't been sealed off properly, and so smoke that came up through the pipe would come out through the joint in the pipe and got some soot on the siding of the house. It just didn't look good. Then inside the house, there was a situation where an ember had come out of the stove and fallen on the carpet and burned a little hole in it. What these people had been told was the store wasn't responsible for the contractor's installation, and so the smoke on the outside of the house was their problem, basically, or something to take care of with that contractor, not with them, which I find interesting since the contractor was in their service network. And as far as the little burn in the rug, they pointed out that there was supposed to be, and I don't remember the exact measurement, but 18 inches of tile or something in front of the stove for that very purpose, and that wasn't the case. They didn't have the right flooring situation, and so that was their problem, not the store's problem. This consultant simply listened and then asked, and I thought this was pure magic. I loved it. He said, "What would you like to have done? What would make you completely happy?" And the couple said, well, if the pipe was fixed so that the soot wasn't coming out of it and getting on the siding, and the siding was cleaned off, that would take care of that problem. We don't know what to do about this hole in the rug. We certainly would never expect you to replace the entire carpet, but would like a solution here. So this consultant said, so what if we had the pipe fixed, straightened, and secured properly and sealed, and cleaned the outside of the house, and then you came to the store and chose a rug, and I believe it was like a 3x5 foot rug that you could set on the ground in front of the stove here, and that would cover that hole, and you wouldn't have to look at it, and it would be much nicer looking. The couple readily agreed to that, and as you can imagine, the expense spent in cleaning up the outside of the house there and fixing that was very minimal. Of course, the expense for the rug was extremely minimal, and the couple was very happy. The point here is, when we ask people what they want, it's interesting how often it's very different from what we might have guessed. When we come to understand others, where they're coming from, what they want out of life, what is going to make them happy and fulfilled, often it's something we can help deliver very quickly, or we can help them find the solution for very easily. All it comes down to is asking questions, but it's the right questions. And it's asking them in a way that is in that person's world, that is drilling down on what they want, and more important than anything, helping them understand themselves, their situation, what they're looking for. As we do that, of course, we understand them also, but they understand themselves. People typically become very reasonable and find great solutions when we facilitate those conversations. So stepping into their worlds and staying there is absolutely key to making this happen. As you've probably heard before, there's a proven framework for this. It's called the Bold Empathy Framework. And there's an introductory training at boldempathy.com that you can take. There is a small price tag on that. But if you'll use the code PODCAST, you can get it for free. And it will dive deeper into this and many other things that I've talked about in this podcast. I'd also like to invite you, if you like what you've heard today, to rate and review this podcast in your app store. This helps others more readily find the podcast and aids us greatly in taking this message to the world. And for that, I thank you very much. Finally, a point to ponder. Understanding others helps us help them. No one needs to understand us. I've shared that before. You're going to hear it many more times as you listen to me. People don't need to understand us. They need to understand themselves and their journey in the context of what is important to them and where they want to go. You have the opportunity to be a facilitator of their achieving the greatest success they have ever experienced. Think about that for a moment. How cool is that? That's exciting, isn't it? And it all begins with understanding their values, experiences, vision, and the actions they're able and willing to take to make that vision become their reality.
Thank you for listening. If you like what you heard, discover more at boldempathy.com. And remember to follow us on your favorite social media platforms.